We're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to get started right now. First off, wanted to introduce ourselves and give you just a quick word about why we're actually qualified to be talking to you about this today. First off, my name is Alay Yajnik, and my colleague is Julie Mather, and we represent the Barrett Group. The Barrett Group has assisted career changes across many industries for over 25 years. We've got about a 90% success rate, so a 90% success rate, and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. And if you add up all the years on our team combined, we have over 200 years of combined experience helping people find their dream job. My name is Alay Yajnik, and I've mentored, developed, and coached executives for over 20 years. It's my pleasure to introduce my colleague, Julie Mather. Julie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks, Alay. I'm also here in the Bay Area, and I have been working with teams and managers for over 20 years myself, also doing some executive coaching and business coaching.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie. And the way we're going to be kind of splitting up our responsibilities today is I'm going to be taking you through most of the content, and Julie is going to be handling the interactive portion of this. So that leads us to the next slide here. So this is going to be really interactive, and I'm going to ask you to dig deep today, okay? We've got about an hour together, and Julie and I are going to give you everything we can in the time that we have today. And then we'll show you where to get more help if you want it, okay? Hopefully that works for everyone. If you can tell, because I'm from California, I talk really fast. I moved here when I was 10, and I picked up the accent right away. So I apologize in advance for the occasional awesome that I drop, but I have a tendency to talk really fast. We're going to go fast because we have a lot of ground to cover. So just take the best notes you can, but don't worry if you don't get it all. If you'd like, I can give you a copy of my slides and the audio recording. So if that would be helpful for you, please hang on, and at the end of the webinar, during the question and answer portion, please, if you could, just remind me during that time so I can show you how to get the download of all this material. And with that, I did mention it was going to be interactive. So if you could, open up your chat box and just type into your chat box right now, what's the hardest part about finding your dream job? So go ahead and type into your chat box now, what's the hardest part about finding your dream job? We want to hear from you. And as those responses come up, Julie's going to go ahead and read those off.
Yeah, so thanks. So we have Stacy letting us know getting in front of the hiring manager, making connections is another point. Deborah says a narrow skill set that's rare in her area, finding the right company to work for, not wanting to repeat the same mistakes you made in your first position, not knowing where to start, not knowing where to begin, concern for leaving a current position. So those are some of the answers we're getting.
Terrific. Thank you, Julie. Here's the thing. Most of us were never trained to look for a job. We got a job, right, our first job, and then that led to another job, and that led to another job, and so on. In any case, you didn't deliberately choose your career. So you're not sure really if you have untapped potential. Maybe you feel that way, but you've never actually had a chance to realize it. Maybe you're not sure if your career plays to your actual strengths. For that matter, what are your strengths, right? All of these things should have been done, but you've never had that opportunity to do that. And now you've just sort of ended up where you are. So after years of working with people to help them land their dream job, we were able to bundle proven techniques into a really simple, really easy to follow system that gets results fast. So you might be asking yourself, how can Alay and Julie possibly know about me and my situation? And here's the thing. A job search is a job search. We have a lot of experience working with people across all industries to do that. And the universal system that we've developed and that we're going to teach you today has actually worked for people who have been unemployed for months, all the way to career professionals and executives who are unsatisfied with their current role. Again, we're going to be teaching it to you today, and the key is to purpose build the system for job seekers. That's kind of the secret sauce that we put together. Our clients who follow the system achieve breakthrough job results faster than we expected. Many of them landed their dream job, and some of them landed it after months of being unemployed. So why Julie and I are doing this and why we're sharing it with you today is because, I got into this business really to change the world. Each of you has the right to have success on your own terms. And I want that success for every one of you. That's how I make an impact, and I believe that that's how Julie makes an impact as well. So with that, let's go ahead and move into a poll. Since we're talking about success, Julie's going to go ahead and activate a poll for you. What does success mean to you? Julie, go ahead and take us through that.
Hopefully everybody can see the poll up on their screen, so you just select the answers that fit you, and you can even do more than one answer.
Awesome. So once those poll results come through, Julie will fill us in on how on what we're all feeling.
Yeah, we've got about a little over 60% of the audience voting. We're getting up there. A few more answers.
Great.
We'll just wait another maybe 5-10 seconds tops.
Awesome. Yeah, please don't overthink it. Just type it in. It's supposed to be, we're talking about serious stuff, but we're trying to keep it a little bit fun and engaging too.
Okay, so do you see the results, Elaine?
I do. So that's very cool. 92% want to be financially independent. That's what success means to them. That was the biggest answer. Happy and healthy was a strong second at 75%. Making a difference in the world was 50%, and having great relationships was 42%. Fantastic. Thanks, Julie, for doing that.
You're welcome.
So here's the thing. When we think about a dream job, we really want the dream job to give you success on your own terms, whatever those happen to be. But there's 3 traps that typically prevent us from getting our dream job. We're going to go through those 3 traps right now. So the first trap is the career trap, and we alluded to this earlier. It's where you really just stumbled into your career without necessarily thinking about where your strengths are and where it can be best leveraged for you to get success on your own terms. So let's say on the poll, you just answered financial independence. Based on your strengths, what job can give you financial independence as quickly as possible? Right? So we end up stumbling just into our career, going from one job to another, and we end up feeling unfulfilled, unhappy. We don't feel like we're making enough money, and maybe we're just not successful in our careers. The second trap we run into is the planning trap when we're conducting our job search or as we're trying to strategize on our job search. And it's kind of like you're driving a car and you're driving in heavy fog. You can't really see the road ahead, so you're just reacting to what's in front of you. And so maybe you're sending out a resume here, resume there, you're applying for a job online here, you're talking to someone else over there, but you don't really have a deliberate plan, and so you're just sort of reacting. And the unfortunate thing about that is it's not getting you the results that you want in your job search. A related issue is what we call the resume trap. This is where you send out a ton of resumes, you apply like crazy on all these job sites, and you're just not getting any responses whatsoever. It's really frustrating. It takes up a lot of time. You can be spending hours a day, hours a week doing this activity, and it just feels like it's going right down the drain or maybe going into a black hole somewhere because you're just not getting any responses back. So those are the 3 challenges. The quick recap: the career trap, where you just sort of stumbled into your career instead of deliberately choosing it. The second is the planning trap, when you're trying to strategize and execute your job search, you don't have a good plan. And the third is the resume trap, where you're sending out resumes and applications, but you're not getting any responses. So another poll here that Julie's going to take us through: which trap or traps are you dealing with? So Julie, how are we doing on the poll?
We have got almost 70% people have voted. So
Excellent.
choose your answer to the poll, and we will share those results once everybody's had a chance to weigh in.
Super.
Looks like we've kind of plateaued on our responses, so let's go ahead and end the polling. And here we go.
Wow, that's a pretty even distribution. So 2/3 of you are having the resume trap. The career trap, though, and the planning trap are not far behind at all. So that's great. That means this content is going to be really valuable for everybody. Terrific. So with that, let's talk about the opportunity. So we've talked about the 3 traps, but it doesn't have to be that way. The opportunity, if we can do things differently, you'll get a job that actually plays to your strengths. And because it plays to your strengths and it's something that you find meaning in, and it's something that's going to connect the line between where you are and success on your own terms, you're going to enjoy it. And it's going to come easily to you. And since you're going to be great at it, it's going to pay you well, right? So that's the opportunity. We want to make sure that you can get there. And so there's 3 steps to landing your dream job. The first is going to be to really know yourself. Figure out what strengths you have, where you really excel. What are the things that you do very well that employers would love to have? And there's a way that we do that. And you can take any number of these, is actually to take an assessment. Now, the assessment's going to do a lot of things for you. It's an online questionnaire that you complete online. Usually it takes about 15-20 minutes to go through it. And that's going to tell you a tremendous amount, if it's a good, high-quality assessment, about what your strengths are in the eyes of the employer and what your strengths are in your eyes as well. So in this example here, you can see this actually shows value to the organization. So what are the things that, based on your assessment, you do or your strengths that are going to be really valuable to an organization? Wouldn't that be cool if you just had that in front of you? Likewise, you can look at different areas of success, in this case, 12 common areas typically encountered in the workplace, and find out which of those specific areas you're really good at and which ones you're really weak on. Can you imagine having that information at your fingertips so that you can target your job search better? And last but certainly not least, most of us when we're in jobs, we're all members of a team. And with regards to that, it's great to find out what role on a team you're most comfortable in. And that's not to say that you can't play another role, but I think what I found really beneficial when I took this for myself is finding out what role on a team I am really, really good at and where I'm naturally good at. So to tell us more about that, we're going to have a quick video here from Duke Han, Focal Point Business Coach and Area Developer. Duke is one of our top business coaches, and he's going to be talking a little bit about the value of this assessment.
This sets you apart from the rest, from the other 95 plus people who are going through the interview process that you are, the career change process that you're going through. It's all about communication and engagement, building those strong relationships. Many people have skills, but very few have self-awareness skills. And this will help set you apart as you go through that career change process to land that perfect next job.
Okay. So now you've seen how taking an assessment can really help. But Julie and I are more interested in what you have to say and what your thoughts are. So if you took an assessment, what impact would that have on your career? Just type into the chat box, if you took an assessment, what impact would it have on your career? While you guys are doing that, I'm just going to take a quick sip of water here. And Julie will take us through the comments as they pop up. Again, type in the chat box, if you took an assessment, what impact would it have on your career?
All right, we've got a few answers now. Give me a better understanding of my direction. So one person with respect to assessments feels like it would be minimal impact now because they're earlier in their, but it would have had more impact earlier in their career, would help the person in interviews.
Yeah, absolutely. A really great benefit of these assessments is it does really help you connect better with others. Not only do you have a better sense of your strengths, but you also get a better sense of your communication style and the communication styles of others, which helps you in the interview process. So even if you, yeah.
Just one more note. There was also a comment from Deborah that she hopes it would confirm her views on her skills. So that self-awareness piece and that how you're perceived by others is also a really good thing that an assessment can help you with.
Great. Terrific. All right, let's go ahead and do we have any more responses coming through, Julie?
We do have another comment. The response to the assessment would reveal that I'm doing something not matching the assessment outcome. That's true. Are you searching for the right kind of position, or are you even in the right position right now based on really where your strengths are?
Fantastic. I love it. Great responses, everyone. So that's the first tip. You can escape the career trap by knowing your natural strengths. Now let's talk a little bit about planning. Now I know you probably all know this in your mind, but it's one thing to know it in your head and another thing to actually implement it. And from our perspective, we're really focused on implementation. So if you know the importance of a plan, but you're not doing it, then we need to have this conversation. So the idea here behind having a plan is that you can actually establish a clear target in your mind. And then once you do that in your mind, you then write it down on paper. And then you put together a plan to get to your target. That plan has to be written down. It's really important because if you just leave it in your mind, what you'll find is that your thinking is a little bit fuzzy. But once you put it down on paper, it forces you to get really clear. And just so you know, if you can't put your plan down on paper, if it doesn't work on paper, it's not going to work in reality. So that's the other value of putting it on paper is it's a quick self-check to make sure that your plan actually makes sense and is possible to achieve, at least in theory, right? The idea here is, when you have that clear target in your mind and when you have a plan that's going to get you to that target, you're going to be able to move deliberately towards what you want rather than just reacting, right? Because when you're reacting, you're just focusing on whatever pops into your mind or whatever you see, whatever breaks through the noise of your day, rather than focusing your efforts on what you actually want. And so landing a dream job, especially, it takes a carefully thought out plan because you're going to want to block out the things that are distractions, the things that take you away from your dream job. And you want to focus really, really clearly on that dream job and exclude the other jobs and the other distractions that might arise. So landing that dream job, in summary, just takes a carefully thought out plan, and the plan has to have action steps to get you to your goal, okay? So with that, we've talked a little bit about the importance of planning, and I know you all understand this intuitively. So if you had a solid, proven job search plan, what impact would that have? So just go ahead and type it in the chat box. If you had a solid, proven job search plan, what impact would that have? And then Julie, why don't you take us through the responses?
I certainly will once we get some. Good point from Hal. It would shorten your time.
Yeah, it shortens the time to conduct a job search, absolutely. Because now instead of just kind of bouncing around from action to action, now you've got a series of actions that you can string together, which will get you from A to B in a much faster or a much shorter time. Great comment.
Yeah, another comment is it would make my decision to apply for any old job go away, right? You'd have a real clear target and goal in mind. Also help avoid the distractions of applying for jobs you don't really want and don't really fit you.
Oh, I love that comment. Julie, what do you think about that?
It's a fantastic comment. So often when we're in the mode of looking for a job, we're not employed, we're thinking any old job. But going back to our strengths and what we talked about in that self-awareness is that, number one, if you apply for a job that you're really not playing to your strengths, you're probably not going to win that job, right? Because there's other people who do have those strengths. So it really helps focus in and helps you find the right job based on what you're really good at.
Super. Okay, great comments, everybody. So that's the second tip, build a plan. The third tip, we're going to give you some power tips to a really great resume. And the first thing you want to do is focus on your accomplishments in your resume, especially on the results. You may have encountered this before because this is conventional wisdom, but I'm always surprised at how often we can make these accomplishments even more specific and even more results-oriented. So an example of an accomplishment I might see in a resume is, I helped increase sales. Now, taking that from an accomplishment to a really specific result, you can change that by saying, I grew sales by 30% over plan in 12 months. Right? So by making it more specific and by tying it more closely to the business, you're able to make that statement much more powerful in the eyes of your employers. The other point is not to talk so much about what the team did. You really want to focus on what you have done and the difference you've made, the things you've done really well in your work experience. And it doesn't have to be earth-shattering stuff. It might be, in your mind, maybe small things. But the bottom line is, if they impacted the business in even a little bit of the way, and you can bring that up in a result, that you absolutely do that. The second tip is to pack your resume with powerful, action-oriented language. So it's one thing to say, I don't know, I put some processes in place, right? It's another. It sounds better if you say I implemented processes, because implement is a powerful term. A lot of these verbs that we're talking about are just going to be charged with emotion. So implement, achieved, drove, developed, led, those kinds of things that carry an emotional impact. They're going to be a verb, so it's going to be an action word, and it's going to be loaded with emotional impact. If you can stack your resume with those kinds of action words, you're going to find that it's going to come across a lot more powerfully to an employer that's going to be reading it. So the second tip there is to pack it with powerful language. The third tip, and this may seem minor, is to just use a unique font. So oftentimes when people are writing a resume, they typically use one of three fonts, and they're all tied to Microsoft Office. So they'll typically use either Calibri, or they'll use Arial, or they'll use Times New Roman, or just Times. It's the same font. And what's interesting is all those resumes kind of blur together, right? If you can imagine, if you're a recruiter or an HR person and you're looking at hundreds of resumes, all those fonts just kind of blur together, and they all kind of just look the same. But you want to do everything you can to stand out. So if you use a unique font, something that they don't see every day, that just looks a little bit different, it'll get their attention. So an example of that is Arial Narrow. Instead of using Arial, use Arial Narrow. It's a little bit of a different look. It's still very easy to read, and it's a little bit of a more compact font, so you can actually fit more words on the page. Okay. So third tip there is to use a unique font like Arial Narrow. And we always like to exceed expectations, so we're going to give you a little bit of a bonus tip here. Here's the thing. If you're not getting responses when you send in your resume, it might actually not be your resume. If you haven't already realized it, the world's changed quite a bit, and LinkedIn is crucial in today's professional world. And not just when you're looking for a job, but all the time, but especially when you're looking for a job. So let's take a look at what our LinkedIn expert in residence, Angela Dunce, has to say about how some of these companies are using LinkedIn to find the best candidates. This is great stuff.
The whole hiring process is basically broken. About 80% of new hires don't make it the first year. So they have gone from this expensive process of posting a job, going through 400 applicants, screening everyone, the phone interviews, all of that, rather than doing an expensive job search process like that or employee search process, they've gone to recruiting people directly off of LinkedIn. So if they use the right keywords and have an idea of what talent they're looking for, they can directly look for and find what they're looking for on LinkedIn. And then just start making phone calls, see if they're interested. So with 500 million people on LinkedIn, it's really important that you be there. In most job searches, what happens is once they've screened all of the applicants, and the average number in the Bay Area is 450 applicants for a particular job posting, they look at the top 30, and the next thing they do is they look at your LinkedIn profile. And if you don't have a really good presence on your LinkedIn profile, you go to the trash can. So you really want to have a great above the fold presence. You want to have a great photo. You want to have a great background photo, and you want to have a great headline. So I think it's really important to be on LinkedIn. Employers also make a lot of assumptions if you're not on LinkedIn or if you don't have a good presence. So one of the assumptions that they automatically make is that you're not social media savvy, or you're paranoid about being out there on social media and they don't want to deal with that, or that you just don't care.
Great. So it's pretty interesting, isn't it, that some of the best jobs never actually entertain resumes. They just go get them directly off of LinkedIn. And that's a challenge for us today, is we have to understand these ways that job searches are conducted today, because it's done completely differently. So question, you've just now seen a couple of resume writing tips, and you've also seen the importance of LinkedIn. If you learned the best tips on resume writing, and if you perfected your LinkedIn profile, what impact would it have on your job search? Just go ahead and type that answer into the chat box now. If you learned the best tips on resume writing and perfected your LinkedIn profile, what impact would it have on your job search? Right? We want to hear from you.
Hey, Leigh, we actually had a question come in before that is, how do you sell the change from being an engineer to an executive manager after you've completed, for example, an executive MBA?
Oh, you know what? That question is near and dear to my heart, because I actually went through that exact process. So I was an engineer with HP. Carly Fiorina was a CEO at the time, and I got my MBA, and I wanted to move to a management position. And just real quick, there's a lot more to it that we need to get into, but there's two things that I did that really helped. The first was, first of all, got it into my head that I was no longer an engineer, that I was a manager, so I had to get my head right. The second thing is I actually went external and did a job search, because getting an internal promotion was going to be way more difficult for me versus going outside, where someone who wasn't familiar with me as an engineer, they were more open to looking at me as a manager. So that's just a couple of quick tips there.
Yeah, and definitely those are the sorts of things that the Barrett Group really helps people work through, and we can help you too. So some of the other comments about having a super resume and a great LinkedIn profile, some of the benefits would be it would shorten the time. A lot of people are mentioning shortening the time of their job search. Could also help maybe for people that have been in the job career field for a long time, it could make them more competitive with the younger applicants.
That's an excellent point. Yeah.
And
Good.
Another person mentioned that probably would get a 10 to 15% higher response rate.
Great. Terrific. And that's the third tip, is a power resume plus your LinkedIn profile is going to give you interviews. Right? All right, so I'm not sure why you showed up here today. It could be that your job search just isn't getting results and you're just tired and frustrated with all the effort. It could be that you're just stuck in your career, right? You're kind of like this tractor in the mud. You're just not moving forward. And try as you might, if you do anything, you're just able to maybe spin your tires a bit, but you're not really getting anywhere. So you feel like you're stuck in your career, you're not having fun, you're not getting the compensation that you believe you deserve, and you feel like you have untapped potential that really isn't being realized. Or it could be that you're just tired of working hard, working crazy hours for a very low wage, less than what you deserve, and just not getting anywhere. So wherever you joined us, you now know that you can escape the career trap by knowing your natural strengths. You also know now that creating a solid plan on paper is critical to getting your results. And you know that having a power resume plus an optimized LinkedIn profile is going to get you the interviews. Those interviews are going to help you execute that job search that's going to get you the results you want and will lead you to your dream job. So the obvious question is how? How do I uncover my strengths? How do I build a job search plan? How do I really have a state-of-the-art, powerful resume and a fully optimized LinkedIn profile, right? A couple of you have mentioned in the chat box, the issue of ageism. How can you find a new job after doing that for a long time and getting laid off or switching into another career? How can you do those things? Well, you've got a choice. You can do it slow or you can do it fast. Slow is a trial and error, do-it-yourself system, right? And if you've tried that, you know that it's the slowest way to do things. Or you can do it fast using a proven system that's designed to work for people just like you. So when we work with a new client who needs to escape the career trap, the planning trap, or the resume trap, the first thing we do with them is called the READY program. I want to show it to you now so you can see how it works just step by step. And by the way, the complete program includes 3 phases: ready, aim, and bullseye. But the first step begins with ready, and that's what we're going to be showing you today. But before I show it to you, I just have to be really clear and upfront. I wish it worked for everyone, but it doesn't. The truth of the matter is that it works better for some people than for others. Specifically, there's 2 people it's not for. If you aren't open to new ideas, if you aren't willing to make changes, then this really isn't for you, and you should probably just hop off now. The other thing is I can't wave a magic wand and give you the results you want. I can give you the tools, I can give you the content, I can give you the support that you need, but you've got to put in the work yourself as well. Is that fair? So I built this system really to show people how to land their dream job. As I mentioned earlier, that's what I love doing in life. It's designed to give you some insight into the perfect job for you. It's designed to give you a plan on how to get that perfect job. And it's designed to give you powerful techniques so that your job search is going to produce interviews and offers. So here it is, the READY program, the live online training. So you've heard the videos from Duke and Angela. They are our panel experts that are actually going to be chatting with you for the live online training of the READY program. So Duke will be taking us through understanding yourself through DISC. And that's using a system that really helps you develop your self-awareness. So how aware you are of how you behave and how others see you. What are your strengths in the to an organization? What changes in your behavior do you need to make to become more impactful? So these are the questions that Duke will address with you in this first session using the DISC tool. And we also mentioned using that to choose your target career. So whether it's your first job or your 15th position, you always want to consider whether you're targeting a specific set of duties that's going to be comfortable for you and that's going to play to your strengths, right? Especially economically. This session is going to explain how the Barrett Group goes about helping their clients choose that target career right before they begin their career search. Session 3 was where we talk about writing that powerful resume. So really having a resume that stands out. And the Barrett Group has gone through hundreds of thousands of resumes, so they know what works and what doesn't. And they can really help you target and focus your resume so that it gets results. Angela is going to be covering perfecting your LinkedIn profile, as we mentioned. Now, just to bear in mind, Angela and Duke and the other subject matter experts are going to be on a video, and we're going to be moderating that discussion. So Angela is going to take us through perfecting your LinkedIn profile, because LinkedIn, as she says, gives you a ton of opportunities, and it can either really help you get that next job, or it can help you lose that next job. So we're going to cover that. And then last but not least, once we've done all this pre-work in session 5, that's where we're going to plan our search. There's not, unfortunately, a single silver bullet because every candidate is different. Every candidate has different end goals. But there is a robust process that we'll take you through. Okay? So that is the Ready program. It's going to be live. It's going to be online. And because it's online, we have an opportunity to include recorded sessions and slides, which just leads us to the price. So the price for the Ready program is only $69 for the entire program. Just $69, and you could actually land your dream job. For webinar only special, so for those of you that are on the webinar, before the end of the webinar, if you join, you'll receive 28% off, which is about $49. So for less than the cost of dinner, you could actually be on your way to landing a dream job. That's an amazing offer. So it's time to make a change, and it's time to land your dream job. The program is fantastic, the price is right, but you've got to take action. And to do that, you can go to this website. Julie's going to go ahead and copy the website into the chat box. So all you have to do is click on it when it pops up in the chat box. And then enter in this coupon code at checkout. And that will get you the Ready program for only $49. That's the webinar special. So while you guys are signing up and while Julie is going ahead and sending that link through and the coupon code through, let's go ahead and move to the Q&A portion of the webinar. So we'd love to take some of your questions. And I see that Julie's just put that URL here in the chat box, so go ahead and click on that. Be sure to enter your coupon code at checkout to get the $20 off, and you'll get it for $49. That's the entire Ready program and all the recorded sessions for $49. That's awesome. Julie, why don't you take us through moderating the Q&A portion of the webinar? So for those of you who have questions, now is the time. Go ahead and type your questions into the chat box, and Julie and I will answer those questions in the time that we have left. So I know one of the questions that we might be getting here, Julie, is when does the program start?
That is a great question, Alay. So the first Ready program is going to be in about 2 weeks on September 12th, and we will be running this Tuesday mornings, 10 a.m. Pacific. And the program will meet every week for about an hour for 5 consecutive weeks. And we will be offering other start times for Ready, and then in the future we will offer the AIM and Bullseye programs as well.
All right, terrific. I just did the coupon code there. And Julie, again, what happens if someone can't make a session, either because they have something else going on, or hey, maybe because they have a job interview coming up?
Well, like you said, we're going to record every session and make the slides available to the people that are participating in the program.
Awesome. And I know this online stuff has some bugaboos at times. So if someone is having a problem with the shopping cart link to buy the program, or they're having a problem with the coupon code, how can we help them?
Well, actually, if they would just put a little note in the chat window, we're going to save the chat and we'll follow up with anybody that needs any extra help. So if you're not able to log in for some reason, just let us know. Put a note in the chat window that, please send me the coupon code or help me set up my Ready program.
Excellent. Great. So those are some of the questions we've gotten. Other questions we want to hear from you. So go ahead and type your questions into the chat box now, and Julie and I can help answer those for you. And for those of you who are signing up, welcome to the program. It's going to be, like I said, very impactful. We're very excited to get this started with you in September.
All right, so if there's any other questions you have about the READY program or anything you've heard today, we'd certainly love to hear any more comments or questions that you might have. So somebody is starting a 2-week vacation starting on the 12th. So we do expect to be running the READY program September and into October. So there will be an opportunity to catch up with a later cohort.
Yeah, and Janet, if you're starting that vacation, just if you want in on the program, just type in the chat box, I want in, and we'll get you dates for a subsequent session. Because you're here, you've been on the webinar, you've invested your time with us. We'll get you scheduled, okay? All right, cheers, will do. And Janet, welcome to the program. Look forward to having you in there. All right, did we answer the questions? Let's see here.
Seems like we have.
Good. Good, I'm glad to hear it. All right, last call for questions. Yeah, Janet, just saw that come through. Just wait to hear from us. We'll reach out to you like today, tomorrow, and we'll get you the details for that program that you can get into once you get back from vacation, okay? Awesome, thanks. Yeah, we're just hanging on the line here because we want to make sure that those of you that are going through the shopping cart process can go ahead and go through the checkout. We hate to drop you guys in the webinar. So other questions, thoughts, concerns? Then I've got a question for you all. So from our webinar today, what's been most valuable for you? Just go ahead and if you're done signing up for the course, just go ahead and type that into the chat box now. What's been most valuable for you today? Love to get your feedback.
And that's a good point, Alay. When we'll send a follow-up email to everybody with the slides and the link to the recording, and we do have a short survey that we would love feedback. You know, if you have ideas for how we can improve the program, we would love to hear from you. One of the questions, the take-homes from today's presentation was the idea of a narrower focus, that it's okay not to apply for every opening if it doesn't fit you.
Yep. In fact, it's better if you don't, because if it doesn't fit, you're just going to be wasting your time and wasting your effort.
Yeah, and I think, you know, Alay and I also work with a lot of business owners, and there's this tendency to want to be all things to all potential customers, but you really find that perfect customer when you're focused on what you do well. That's how you distinguish yourself in the marketplace, and that's also true for how you distinguish yourself in the job market.
Great point. Thanks, Deborah, for bringing that up. All right, Julie, do we have any other questions, or should we wrap it up?
I think we're ready to wrap things up.
Okay, great. Everyone, thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you all on our webinar today. And as Julie mentioned, there is going to be a follow-up email going out. We're just asking for some feedback on what you really got from the webinar. And I look forward to catching all of that. Go out there and make it a great day and a great week ahead, everyone. Thank you so much, and congratulations again to all of you who signed up for the program. We're really looking forward to getting started.